let's check that inner layer because that's what's worrying me. If I put my meter on here and there, no, it's fiberglass. This is fiberglass. What? G'day and welcome back to RC Model Reviews. Look, we've got a Kopis2 SE. Now this is from HolyBro. I know that because it says it on the box. It must be true. And I've always been quite impressed with HolyBro's products. Now they make bind and fly stuff that is pretty high quality. It's not just your cheap Chinese tat. Really good stuff. It performs really well. And they made the Kopis 1. Let's have a look at the original Kopis 1. Here it is. This is the first Kopis they made. And I was quite impressed with this. It's a stretched X layout. I've got these super fast props. It is really quite quick, but not as quick as I thought it would be, but it does. It handles really nicely. It came well equipped with a proper RunCam Swift camera, nice video transmitter. There's a review. I might put a link to it in the description if I remember. It's got separate ESCs under the arms. It's an underslung battery setup, and this thing has flown pretty well. I did comment that it just seemed a little bit low on power. In fact, in the test flight for the video review, I actually crashed it because I had a RunCam 3 sitting on the top, and the extra weight was just more than I expected, and I just didn't have enough power to pull out of the power loop I did. So it is a really nice, smooth, it flies really nicely. Is it totally competitive? I don't know, but I tend to think that someone who's actually racing is probably not going to be buying a ready-to-fly or a bind-and-fly mini quad. They're going to be building their own. Serious racers will build their own quads because it gives you far more control over what's going on, it enables you to understand things better, and it means you can fix it on the spot without having to order parts from the manufacturer because you've got, you can have plenty of spare generic parts. So this is probably for weekend racers, guys that just want to be really competitive on a weekend without investing too much time and effort in actually building stuff. Or if you're allergic to solder, then this is the Kopis is the machine for you. Now, to be honest, to be totally and blunt and honest, I actually, for fun, that's a better HolyBro machine. That's the Shuriken X1. That's a brilliant. It's got so much power. These motors here put out way more power than the motors on the Kopis. And this is these are F40 2600s, and on the original Kopis we have, what have we got? F40 2450. So that extra kV really shows up, and this thing is a hoot to fly. It is great. I get a buzz out of it. I don't fly it often, but when I do, it reminds me just how much power this thing's got. So anyway, but I'm not reviewing this today. No. As you might have noticed at the beginning of the review, we're going to review this, the Kopis2 SE. So let's take it out of the box and see what we get for our money. As is usual with HolyBro products, you get these nice case with a zip like this, look. So I don't know if anyone uses these or you just throw quads in your backpack, but it is a nice touch. Spare props in the top here, obviously that's really important. There is a little, what would you call it? I'll just pull up a bit here so you can see. This has just got a list of parts for when you're ordering spares. There wasn't actually a manual with this. I think there was a manual with the original Kopis, but the manual is online, so that's not a big deal because having the manual online enables you to update it as and when required. And this is basically what you get. There's your quad, it's in a bag. Who could ask for more? So let's take it out, have a look at it on the bench. Again, just like the Kopis one, this is a stretched X configuration, which means there's more distance between the motors from end to end than there is from side to side. The theory on this being that the rear motors then operate in less of a disturbed prop wash. It does seem to handle nicely. You can really throw these things around. Freestyle, I'm not so sure, but certainly if you're just trying to get around corners really quickly, the stretched X, I like it. It really does handle nicely. Now, we've still got T motors. These ones are, let me have a look so I can tell you. These are the F40 Pro 2. These are 2400 kV. So they're not as high kV as the Shuriken motor, so I wouldn't expect this to be as peppy as the Shuriken, but maybe it will be a little bit faster than the original Kopis, which had 2450, maybe it won't, 2450 motors on the original Kopis, so slightly lower kV motors on this. It's going to be interesting to see how this works. I'm quite keen to get this thing in the air. It has one of these little helicals on the back here, tiny, which is well out of the way. I haven't had that good results with the, what do they call it, a Lolipop antenna, but we'll see how that holds up. The transmitter, of course, the video transmitter is multi-power and it's configurable from your transmitter. So that's all, it's got pit mode, all that sort of stuff. So it's going to do the job for you. We have the little mini Swift. The mini Swift camera here now, so that's going to save a few grams compared to the original, which had a full-size Swift. That's interesting. Now, the design of the arms is somewhat different. The original Kopis was quite striking because it had these, let me just try and get all this in shot for you, it had these sort of swoopy arms with a curve in them. It looks quite nice, quite pretty, with the ESCs underneath. Now, the new one, obviously has a 4-in-1 ESC in the middle, and the arms are straight. And they're quite thin. They're thinner than the other Kopis, which means less drag. And that, if you're racing, that's obviously good. But here's something I'm not so sure about. I mean, do you spot something with these arms? Now, it says on the box, and I shall hold it in front of the camera so you can see for yourself, 5mm full, 5mm full 3 carbon fibre twill, right? Now, this stuff you see here, this is twill, the sort of crosshatch, the sort of checkerboard pattern, that's twill. But I'm wondering what's in the middle here. That does not look like carbon to me. This looks like, this reminds me of another quad, which I really wasn't that impressed with. And it's sitting here on the edge of the bench. Let me get it for you. Remember this? The Eachine Wizard 220. And remember that this also has carbon, top and bottom, but it has fiberglass in the middle. And these arms broke like lollipop sticks. These were really, really, in fact, to their credit, Eachine recalled these or sent out replacement arms because those arms were just breaking. Same with this top plate. As you can see with the top plate, if we look on the side there, that white area, that's fiberglass. So they tried to skimp on materials by using a fiberglass carbon composite, which is really nowhere near as strong as pure carbon. And as a result, people were breaking top plates, people were breaking arms. So they said, oh, we're terribly sorry. Here's a new top plate, here's some new arms, all in full carbon. That was a great move. Now, I'm a little concerned that HolyBro have cheapened out on this as well. I'm going to get the multimeter and we'll measure and see. I've never seen white carbon fibre, so I have a feeling this is not going to be full carbon. Okay, so I've got my multimeter set up on the continuity. Hopefully you can hear that beeping when it gets continuity. Now, if I check across well, let's turn it over because it's easier to get at the bottom of things. I'm going to check from here to here. There should be a beep. There is a beep, you can hear the beep. So the carbon that's carbon, it's conductive. Let's check that inner layer because that's what's worrying me. If I put my meter on here and there, no, it's fiberglass. This is fiberglass. What? Fiberglass? Seriously, in a racing quad? I'm a bit disappointed with HolyBro in this one because I was trying to think of reasons why you would use fiberglass. It's not lighter, it's not stronger, it's just cheaper. So why would you, I mean, they're cheaped out, especially when you consider that these are very thin arms. Look how narrow those arms are. You want all the strength you can get. Yeah, sure, this is 5mm thick, but of that 5mm, you've only got 2.5mm of carbon. The rest is fiberglass. I'm not really impressed. I've got to say, I love HolyBro products. I think they've dropped the ball here. I think they have made a mistake introducing that fiberglass composite stuff there. You know, even Eachine admitted they made a mistake and replaced those parts because they broke so easily. Will this hold up? I don't know, because even this base plate in here, fiberglass. And the top one, the top one's full carbon by the look of it, but they've gone fiberglass everywhere else. Makes no sense. In a top spec racing quad, where you need strength, where you need to have thin arms for minimum drag, so you've got to have really strong material so they don't break at the first crash. Oh, I don't know. I really don't know. We'll have to find out when I crash it, because undoubtedly I will. But let's take a little bit of a closer look at what else is on this thing. One thing I noticed straight away is this doesn't come with any kind of mount for your GoPro or your GoPro Session or your run cam or whatever. You can fit a mount, you know, one of these rubber or TPU mounts on there, but it doesn't come with one. The old Kopis did come with a mount for a GoPro Session or a Runcam 3. So the SE obviously means they've been reducing the costs on this one. I haven't looked at the prices, but I will put a comparative price between the Kopis 1 and the Kopis2 SE. SE must mean special edition, I don't know, but maybe it's the special lower cost edition. Maybe they've cheapened it up a bit to make it more accessible to people, make it more affordable. I don't know, but again, something's not that affordable if you have to keep replacing pieces like the arms because they break. But they may not break, we don't know. Anyway, they've got a nice stack in there. All the electronics is in a stack, which is quite good. Everything's put in. We've got antenna connector on there to that little, and this is really good. This is what I liked about the original Kopis. They've got a really sturdy mounting bracket down here for the antenna, and the antenna is out here, well out of harm's way. You can roll and tumble this thing. The antenna is probably only just going to touch the ground, so that should be well protected. Time to put them on the scales. Let's see what they weigh. Let's compare old with new. Okay, here we go. Basically, exactly the same setup. This is the Kopis2 SE. Comes in at 307 grams. That's 306, 307. That's pretty light. That's racing light. That's a nice lightweight thing. Now the old one comes in at almost exactly the same. Perhaps a gram lighter. So for all the the changes. They haven't actually reduced the weight. It's actually heavier than the old one. It's interesting. I find that really interesting. I'm picking that few grams of difference is down to the fact that fiberglass is quite a bit heavier than carbon. So that's where the extra weight's coming from. Because if we look at them side by side, there's less material in the new one than the old one. Look, this has got a much wider top plate. The base plate is wider. This one is narrower all around. The arms are narrower, the base plate's narrower. So it's just down to the fact they've used a heavier material, which is also not as strong. Okay, so I'll throw it on the computer, we'll set up the beta flight, and we'll take it for a fly. But one thing I just noticed actually, these are T motors, and everyone says, ooh, T motors, woo. But I'm just looking at the windings on these motors, and some of them look pretty damn scruffy, to be totally honest. It's not, a bit to get this thing to focus, it's not as nicely wound as I would expect from a quality motor. They're looking pretty random, some of those poles with the windings on them. Yeah, so a lot of people have said T-Motor aren't making motors as well as they used to. Maybe they're not, I don't know, but again, we'll find out. The machining seems to be fine and the bearings are good and everything. It's just looking at those windings there, I don't know what's going on. But as I say, throw it on the laptop, set up the beta flight, take it for a spin. I might compare it directly to the Kopis one, see what I think. Holy crap, I just looked at the price. This is the original Kopis one on Banggood, and the price there is US $288 to $299 for the original Kopis one, which was lighter and has stronger arms and a conventional cloverleaf antenna. It still has the F40 motors from Tiger Motor. And let's have a look at the Kopis 2, the new one, which is heavier, has fiberglass arms. My God, look, that's $315. It's more expensive. The new one is more expensive, yet it seems to be made with inferior materials. I don't know how this works. I really don't. But as I say, the proof will be in the flying. So let's take it outside, give it a thrash, see how it goes. It always pays to read the manual. And I think the reason that this version 2 of the craft is more expensive is because it will run up to 6 cells. Now that's quite a major difference because the old 4 cells used to be the standard, but this one will handle up to 6 cells, which is quite a bit more power if you're going to run 6 cells. I don't know, 2400 kV, 2450 kV motors, will they hold up? What size props? I only give you one set of props, and it says 4 to 6 cells. Normally, you have to play around with props if you're changing battery cell count, so I'm not too sure. And I'm actually wondering whether mine was a bit of a Friday evening or Friday afternoon special, because it doesn't come with a plate underneath. It's an underslung battery, but there's no protective plate for the battery. Now the old one came with this lovely carbon plate, so when you dump it down on the gravel or a rough surface, your battery's protected, but no such plate on this one. So again, are they skimping? Are they just saving a few cents here and there by using fiberglass and leaving out important things like the battery protection plate? I don't know, maybe just mine was one that they didn't put in the box. I don't know. No camera mount, no bottom plate for the battery, fiberglass arms. But let's see what happens when I throw it at the air. Okay, that was great. I love that. This is faster than the Kopis 1. Certainly feels faster than the original Kopis 1. It handles really well. I just love the way the stretched X-frame handles on fast changes of turn. When you throw it into a turn and you nail the throttle, it just stops and goes the other way. It's brilliant. I can see why these are really good for racing. Now, I didn't crash it. I really wanted to put a few more hours on it before I actually try and deliberately bend it and break those arms, so I can't give you a total update on that. Now, this is super silly fast on a 4-cell. That's just a graphene 4-cell. On a 6-cell, I don't know, it would be kind of mind-blowing, I think. So if you really want to, if you want to get into 6-cell and you don't want to fart around making your own gear, now I can see, having still got a bit of adrenaline flowing in my blood, I can see why some people will spend $300 and something to buy one of these, because take it out of the box, bind it up, bing, away you go at an astonishing rate of speed. And some people just don't have the time to spend soldering, and they're allergic to solder and hot irons and things. So in that regard, this thing has a place in the market. Yeah, I don't know. It's would I buy one? Well, no, because I'd build one, to be honest, because I'm a builder kind of guy. I like soldering and I like putting stuff together and I like finding out what works and what doesn't. But this just works out of the box. This antenna, as I say, not the best. I probably would change that if I wanted to do some serious stuff. Notice in the video, the flight video, there was quite a bit of signal loss when I flew behind myself, which, yeah, I'm running 200 milliwatts, by the way. I set this up with 200 milliwatts. So that's comparable with all the other mini quads I fly to get a reasonable idea of how well it was working. I think I would probably change that antenna. I say maybe a pagoda or something on there. There's plenty of room for any antenna you like on there, so just whatever's your choice. Now, one thing I wasn't happy with is the video transmitter. Now, I haven't set it up to operate from my transmitter with all the controls and things. I just wanted to use it like a normal video transmitter with the button. You can change the channels, the band. So I set it up, set my channel up, set my band up, set my power to 200 milliwatts. That was great. So then I charged the battery, took it out, and when I plugged it in, it went back to band A, channel 1, 25 milliwatts. Yeah, it doesn't remember. It doesn't remember when I changed the settings. And that may be a bit of an error on my part. I haven't really gone through the manual in detail, but suffice to say, I would like it if I set this through the button, which is there for setting it if you don't want to use the other controls. If I set it to a particular channel, band and power, I'd like it to stay that way. But I'll do a bit more delving. Maybe it's something I have to set up on the Betaflight and things. I don't know. I haven't used that function. Yeah, unfortunately, it would be nice if the manual mode remembered what you had set the video transmitter to, but it doesn't. So, as I say, I'm going to do a follow-up on this. I'm going to do some more flying on this week. I shall throw it around. Probably I certainly will crash it, and we'll see how these arms hold up. But in the meantime, I have to say, it is a blast to fly. It is true HolyBro fun. It's I'm going to fly some more. That's all I can say. And I'll let you know what happens. There you go. If you've got questions, comments, put them in the usual place. I'd like to say that at the moment, if you have the money to spare and you don't want to build something, then this looks pretty schmick. It is. It's just such a nice experience out of the box. However, if you're a really competitive racer, you're probably not going to buy it. You're not going to buy it because you're going to build your own. And you can fine-tune things and tweak things. One thing I must mention also that I like about this is it doesn't use that stupid clockwise, counterclockwise motor setup. They're all standard motors, so one set of lock nuts does them all. There's none of that messing around trying to find a left-hand lock nut if you lose one. Brilliant, that's great. So there you go. Yeah, I will put I'll put a Runcam 3 on here later and do some HD video footage so you get a better idea, because the FPV footage was pretty crappy. But there you go, that's it. HolyBro, you've done it again. Subject to some further testing on these arms. I'm not too sure about. I don't know. Anyway, what do you think? Yeah, what do you think? Is this worth the money? If you are looking at this, would you spend 300 and something bucks on this? And what do you think about those arms? Do you seriously think there's a place for fiberglass arms on a high-spec bind and fly racing quad? Tell me what you think in the comments. I'd love to hear it. I'm sure HolyBro would also like to hear it. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.